Risky Chronicles and the Curse of Destiny is a 2D platformer adventure game with some 3D driving sequences as well. You'll take on the role of Risky as he travels through some mythical locations. That's about all I can tell you because there's minimal story presented here. And yes, that even includes the ending, which when you reach that point, the game awkwardly cuts straight to the end credits. So if story is your thing, which for a game like this it shouldn't be, then expect next to nothing in that regard because that's what you're getting. Think of this more like an arcade game where you just jump level to level. If you decide to pick this up, two things I highly suggest you do before playing are the following. First, turn the player lives up to the maximum of 9, and second, change the controls. This plays like a Super Nintendo game, so having the functions mapped to the face buttons felt a lot better to me than the default control scheme, which has some functions mapped to the shoulder buttons. The way you control Risky is a bit stiff and incredibly slow, especially when you climb ladders. This makes sections with traps firing at you while you climb require almost perfect timing. You can also crouch and crawl, which is incredibly useful to dodge incoming obstacles throughout the game. Risky has 3 main attacks. There's a knife attack, which is useless, and I don't think I ever successfully landed a hit without dying myself. A gun attack, which consumes ammo, and also bombs you can toss, which also have their own ammo count. For pickups, there are ammo crates and also little figurines which give you some extra lives. You'll also see some butterflies, but these are mainly to show you a safe path and don't really provide any other benefit for collecting them. Throughout the game, you're treated to some really colorful scenery and art. Each level has its own music, with the music being serviceable. It's not great, but not bad either. It matches the theme of each level, so it has that going for it. The sound effects are good, other than the scream. My god, you'll be tired of this after 10 minutes of playing. The levels are all different and unique in their design, and that's for better or worse, as some are pretty good and some are incredibly boring. I found the 2 driving sequences in particular to just be boring and drag on for too long. I guess they were just really proud of the 3D graphics they used here, but I'm sorry, it's boring and tedious to play through these. The main bulk of the gameplay is the 2D platforming, where you'll work your way through a stage. There will be frequent checkpoints which you can trigger and respawn at if you die, and then you'll fight a boss for some of them. Not every level has an end boss, but the ones that do require you to master their patterns. A single hit means you die, which means you start the whole fight over. You're more than likely going to get frustrated at least a few times with the bosses as you fight them in small areas without any real safe spots. Running out of lives and getting a game over means starting the current level over from the beginning when you continue. But if you happen to get that game over at the end level boss, there will be a portal close to the start which brings you to the checkpoint before the boss fight. So I'll give them credit for including that, since it helped cut down on having to replay the entire level over just to try the boss again. As you progress, each level will be a new area with new enemy types, but that's the only thing you look forward to with progression. There's no story or cutscenes between levels. You'll never earn any upgrades or new weapons. Nothing really compelled me to keep playing, but yet I soldiered on. And soldier on you will need to in order to reach the conclusion. The gameplay has a lot of different quirks and requires quite a bit of trial and error. As you learn these quirks, you'll find yourself making progress a bit easier than when you started. Things like the movement speed, the hitboxes of certain enemies, and Risky himself not being able to attack while jumping or crouching. These are just a few of the things you'll need to get acclimated with in order to proceed. Deaths will often feel cheap and frustrating. The gameplay will often feel mundane and soulless. And spoiler alert warning, but nothing feels more soulless than the final level, which requires you to save your soul, oddly enough. This was a terrible finale and dragged on for so long. You push your soul bubble around trying to dodge hazards through a maze-like level, and it doesn't control great. I didn't find this gameplay style fun at all, and while I can commend them for trying to mix it up, their attempts at doing so all fell flat and weren't enjoyable. Unfortunately, Risky Chronicles and the Curse of Destiny is not a game I can recommend. It's incredibly disappointing because the trailer made this look really good. And I guess you know what they say, can't judge a book by its cover. It contains tedious and often boring gameplay. The driving sections drag on too long. The bosses require you to defeat them perfectly. Since taking even a single hit resets the fight, there are some wonky hitboxes which result in a lot of cheap feeling deaths. And some deaths are just plain stupid. Like this one. I kill the snake with a bomb, and it kills me while it's flying off screen. This isn't an isolated incident either. It happened to me multiple times before I started just waiting for it to fly off screen. This game is just a constant test of your patience, and not in a satisfying way. It bills itself as an homage to 90s style platformer adventure games, but fails at adapting the elements of those games that just weren't fun in order to make them more appealing to a modern audience. Pass on this one unless the laundry list of issues I described don't seem like things that would bother you. There is some fun to be had here, but you have to look past a lot of flaws to find that fun. I appreciate you watching this review and hope you found it helpful. If you enjoyed it, please like the video, comment below if you have any questions, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. And until next time, have a good one.